And we're recording. Cool. Let's bring that gentleman in. There we go. So welcome everyone. Tonight's demonstration is all about Scouts Terrain, which is our new online record keeping system. I'm going to share my screen here. No points for guessing where I work. Some things which I'm planning to go through tonight is I will just go through a very quick overview of Scouts Terrain. I noticed that there's a lot of Joey leaders on this particular seminar. So one thing which has come out in the last couple of weeks is the ability to do the bulk awarding of OAS levels. So I'll show you how you can do that as well. I'll go through a bit of discussion around preparation and about how to prepare for Scouts Terrain. Then we'll go into terrain. We'll show you how to find your members, set up your units and patrols and the roles within your patrols, and then finally finish off with loading past accomplishments. So that's awards which youth have already received. Does anyone have anything else you would like to raise or show as part of the session tonight? Cool. In that case, let's jump into Scouts Terrain. Now, occasionally we will hear that there is somebody jumping in, and I'll come and add them. And we'll continue on. So this is the home page of Scouts Terrain, also known as Basecamp. Now, this is the leaders version of Basecamp. You may have seen some videos which has a mountain and this whole pathway through outdoor adventure skills, SIAs, and different parts of the award scheme, or achievement pathways, I think is the phrase I've got to use these days. That's the youth Basecamp, which I don't actually have a youth account to show you. But you can see the screenshots on our support page. As it looks something like this, where you have your peak award and the different parts of the personal achievement framework, I think is the official phrase to use, as we go through the whole functionality. So this is running on, obviously, on my laptop. The site is usable whether it is on mobile or on mobile tablets. It does automatically resize to whatever you've got. Now, I am going to mute everyone in the meeting other than me. So what do we have here? Well, let's start. I'll just run through a few bits of the approval, the functions that we've got. Obviously, we've got programming. Programming allows us to plan activities and share activities on a calendar. Any person in your unit can actually propose an idea. And the proposed idea is just as simple as, here's something I think group council should do. We should go downhill skiing in Brisbane. And you'll be saying, Nick, seriously, what did you have for dinner? It's called Outdoor Extreme, I think it is, at Hendra. I actually have a downhill skiing simulator trainer. And why we want to do this? Because we want to try our OAS Alpine Stage 1 and prepare for the 2021 ski trip. Now, I think someone just, well, that was the Bing to let somebody in. No, somebody's just come in. So, and we can say who's going to organise the activity. We can say that that's going to be Tommy. And we've got some very basic details like so we'll say it's an outdoor challenge. We can upload as many support files as we like, which at this stage might be a brochure. And we have links to some support materials around planning ideas. We can then send that idea to our unit council. And we can see that that's been sent to unit council, and we can now come in and see our proposed activities. So the idea here is consistent with youth leading, adult supporting. any youth member can suggest any idea. It doesn't actually say that we're going to go ahead with that particular activity. We can, however, if I scroll my page down a little bit, say, actually, we like that idea as a unit council. Tommy, go ahead and start planning it. And so now we can go through and say, okay, yep, we review the front page, we're comfortable with that. And then we can come in and say, yep, this is going to be a unit activity. And you'll notice that we now have the second field, who is going to organise this activity. But now I've got a drop-down list of names. And those names are all the names that belong to my particular unit. I could say that it's actually a patrol activity, in which case I can now go and choose my patrol, and my list of names is from the group of people who belong in that particular patrol. Okay. For those of you who like to do multi-sectional or even multi-group activities, you can set up a project patrol. And when you set up a project patrol, you can choose people from within your own group, but you can also choose people from any branch anywhere in Australia to join your project patrol. So in this case, I'm going to choose Queensland. I'm going to put my own member number in there, and chug. You can add anybody in from any group. So if you're doing some activities and you're an adventurous activity leader, or you're a small unit and you are going to have multiple groups coming together, you can add them all together, and then this activity will appear on their particular appear on their calendar as well. Who's going to organise the activity? Well, I think I'm volunteering for that one. And we can put all the remaining details in. So location, stream, we can do our start date, which we'll say we're going to do it Friday night. Do remember to put a start time in, 7 p.m. And we're going to finish on Friday night at 9 p.m. And then once we're finished, we can go and review the plan that we have. Remembering we could have attached our C4, C5s, F31s, and we can add to calendar.
Okay, Nick, I got a question from Emily.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll cover this. I'm not anticipating my young Joeys being able to submit an event proposal. Can we do this all as a leader without requiring someone else to sign it off?
Absolutely. So I'm assuming that there are leaders from other sections on the call. So somewhere like Scouts and Venturers, certainly Rovers, I would expect they would be proposing things. When it comes to Joeys and Cubs, I'm expecting that this will generally be led by either parents or leaders, most likely leaders. But it means as a leader cohort, when I had my mob, I had 3 leaders. We could just throw ideas out there so that when we come back to our term planning, we can look at all the ideas we came up during the previous term to say, what are we going to put into next term? Obviously, as part of the sequence, we have plan, do, review. And I'm going to come back to my downhill. I'll do the surprise challenge. This is somebody else's one. So after the activity has occurred, we can actually come in here and we can now tick off the attendance record and say who actually did everybody show up and participate that we expected. And then we can do our review. And the review tells us, confirms, who organised the activity, who was the lead, and who was the assist. So you might remember that under milestones, we now have participate, assists, and leads. We can rate the activity and provide our feedback on it as we come down the page. So we can say what elements scouting, we can say we were learning by doing, we were working as patrol and as a youth led. We can put some comments in, and as soon as we press the button at the bottom, which I won't press now, now, Alpine 1. As soon as you press that conclude activity, everyone who was marked as present would get at least a participate on their milestone record, and those that were flagged as assists and leads would have the assists and leads added to their milestone record for this activity. Now, I think I just saw a flag that someone's, no, we haven't got anyone waiting to come in. That's okay.
But we've got some questions.
Okay, let's go with some questions.
Can there be more than one assist per activity?
Absolutely. You can put as many people in as you like, but they have to be flagged as people who attended.
Right, okay. And then I think this one links as well. Can there be more than one lead?
Absolutely.
Okay. And can you add extra people afterwards if they show up unexpectedly? Like, for example, a sibling in another section.
The way to do that is actually to go and update your plan.
Okay. Emily, let me know if that's enough of an answer for you. That was another one for Emily.
Cool. When you do the activity details, we can come back here. What am I doing? We can edit our activity. So this is our who, what, where, start date, and end date. I think that's back here. This is, I have to admit, this was not a question I had prepped for. You can go back and edit the plan, and I have to go back to this previous page. Can I get back there? No, because this one was one that was rushed together. Let's go back to one that I know I've got some. We'll go to the downhill skiing one. I can come and there's my edit plan button. Complete plan. I think I actually completed the plan. When you come back to the plan, I'm going to take that one as a question on notice because this isn't behaving how I was expecting it or how I prepared it for. If that's okay. But I believe the answer is yes. I just didn't prep for how to add people afterwards. Do we have any other questions there, Emmy?
At the moment, no. There's just
Cool.
Those three. Can we have multiples and then add ones later? But yeah. I'm sure there'll be more.
I'm sure there'll be more. So again, I'm doing the very fast version of the demonstration here. But you'll notice, I guess the key thing I wanted to say here was that when we come and finish the activity, you have the you do have essentially an attendance record for everyone that's shown up. And as soon as you complete the review, that's where all of your credits towards participate, assists, and leads for your milestones get added to each youth member's records. So what about some of the other awards? Let's say we want to go and do a special interest area. How do we do that again? So in this case, we can go and create a special interest area project. We can pick the area that we're going to do it in. In this case, I'll do one which is in adventure and sport. And I'm going to learn AFL through Auskick. Okay, we can set our goal. I have no idea how the game is played. I want to try it out. Okay, I am, after all, the BC Joey, so I am setting a Joey level goal here. Obviously, if you're if you're with an older section, you would need to set an age-appropriate goal. Complete AFL Auskick. I will then play a game, a full game with the Auskick team. Now, share photos and story. So all the things that you would normally see on the form at the moment, and save and continue. You can do it by myself, AFL coach. And bang, I think. After this, once you've got your plan, you submit your plan for review to your unit council. So remember, under the youth program, everything's about you submit your plan to unit program, or to unit council. Unit council signs off that, yep, that's a good challenge for you to go through. And then, obviously, once it's approved, we can complete the project. We submit our report back to unit council, who signs off the awarding of the SIA. In this case, you can see I've got 2 that are pending approval. And when I come in, well, I guess first, before I go to approvals, any questions around special interest areas?
Yes.
Yes.
If our Joeys have filled in SIA form out in paper, do we have to type this info or upload it?
Technically, yes. Or I'll rephrase that. Somebody has to. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the leader. You may have a parent helper who might enter it in, or the parents, if you've got those enthusiastic parents, they may enter it for you. But at some point, because this is the record of what the youth member has performed, it does need to be entered in here for it to be recorded. Use of Scouts terrain also is non-mandatory, i.e. you can operate outside of Scouts terrain. Obviously, Scouts Australia would like you to. Scouts Queensland would like you to, because we're looking forward to having some of the information to ensure that we're appropriately, the branch team certainly is looking forward to having the data to ensure that we're appropriately supporting you as well.
Okay, Emily's sort of added to that question. If we are using the paper record books in Joey's, will the data all need to be entered if they use terrain in the older sections?
The only thing which carries through to the older sections are your OAS badges.
Okay.
Remembering that as now, at the moment, only the Peak Award carries through, but when it comes to your OAS does carry through.
Okay, so you said the Peak Award carries through. Will that be enough to just say they've got the Peak Award, or how will that, if they haven't put all that in, how will that go?
Don't know the answer to that one yet.
Okay, that's a me question.
Yep. Yes, because you'll notice, for example, one of the things we cannot put in here is the Peak Award.
Because it's got to be earned by doing all the little steps along the way.
And then you put your Peak Award nomination form in, which I still have to sign off for Joey's, and my counterparts still have to sign off for their sections. And then I believe as a branch, we then update Scouts Terrain with the awarding of the Peak Award. Okay. Any other questions on SIAs? So let's go and do, which one haven't I done? I don't think I've done vertical yet. So when we come to the outdoor adventure skills, should only have about, where am I up to? About another 5 or 6 minutes sort of recapping Scouts Terrain, then I'll get on to the new content for today. With outdoor adventure skills, you can pick any skill that you want to, and then you can obviously pick the stage that you're working towards. oh, look, I have actually completed this one. No, I've partially completed this one. So as you complete an activity, you have all of the I statements, which you may be familiar with from the Outdoor Adventure Skills record books that you've got at the moment. If you have an external verifier, such as a sports coach or external training provider, you can click on these links to click on the requirements. So you've got a physical document to have. Let's see if this works as planned. Yes. So you can click on the page and you have the youth member or verifier comments if someone outside of scouting is being the skill assessor for an outdoor adventure skill. As the youth member goes through and completes all of the items, you can say, right, we've had these elements ticked off. In this case, my youth member's gone to a climbing gym to learn how to do climbing. We've got a record from the climbing instructor and some photos to say that it's verified. We can add supporting documents to any achievement that we have anywhere in the system. You can add supporting documents. And we can then add a verifier. And a verifier can be another scouting member. It can be somebody else. So in this case, I'm going to say climbing coach. What's my favourite one? Crank climbing. So the idea here is that you've got a record of who signed off this particular achievement. And then once you feel that the youth member's ready to go, we can submit for stage progression, and that will go off to our unit council. Repeat by all of the other OAS stages and achievements that we have.
Okay, more questions.
I was going to say my phone went nuts then, so I'm assuming there's a few questions. I think I know the answer to this. Will you update all Joeys that have completed the Peak Award on the old system before? Will that come into terrain? Hold that thought.
Hold that thought. Okay, that's for Amber. And Shark from Beanley, is there a way to catch up with people on higher levels, or must we start them at level 1 on terrain?
So again, you can hold that thought.
Okay.
But you do have the benchmarking. If you've benchmarked someone at, for example, camping stage 5 because they've got their ASM and you're a venture leader, you can award that as part of the data load, which we'll be going through very shortly. Okay. The last thing I was going to go through is, how do I get this? Come down here to approvals. Obviously, everything that has been submitted for approval to Group Council does show up here on our approvals tab. You'll notice that some of them are special interest areas, outdoor adventure skills, adventurous journeys, and because we're a member of Unit Council, I can go in and have a look at this particular thing and say approve. Now you'll notice I didn't actually have to view that particular submission because it's designed that you may, as a Unit Council, just have someone centrally displaying all the proposals on the screen, and your Unit Council members can then just click off that they have approved it. I should point out, you'll notice that this particular item is still sitting here waiting for approval. And that's because it takes 2 members to approve awarding of an SIA or an outdoor adventure skills or any other item for that matter. And generally at least one of them needs to be an adult leader. I know there's some groups have had concerns that it means that they feel that 2 youth members might be able to sign off the OAS. I'd like to point out that the ultimate review is leaders still have to buy the badges in order to hand them out. Cool. If you're thinking, hang on, Billy and Johnny have conspired to award Fred his OAS stages, you can come in here and see the full history and and although I don't have any in this example because I think some of my data's been cleaned up, you can see exactly who approved what at any point in time. So there is a full audit trail as to who approved what as we go through. I can see one there. Is something gets accidentally approved? Yes. Can you revoke it? Yes is the answer.
You beat me to that one.
Yeah, I saw that one flash up on my phone.
And there's one before it as well.
Okay, I'll finish that one. So I should point out I am using a test user account here at the moment. So I think I have to keep checking this every day because the Terrain team do update this account for me quite regularly. I don't have any history here to show you that is there. You can actually reject or revoke an approval as well. If you do have Tommy and Billy conspiring to be overly generous with their awarding. But that, of course, never happens in scouting.
Never happens.
Emmy, you said there was something else in the
Bilby's got a question. If, for example, a first aid task has been completed, say in bushwalking, but it shows up in the other OAS, will it auto-populate once done? And I think a good example for Joey's is the buddy system. Because it's across all 3 OASs. Does it tick all 3, or do we have to go into each one? That's a good question. Well done, Bilby.
Bilby, I'm going to get you to email me that one at bc.joeys@scoutsqld.com.au because I honestly don't know the answer, but I'm going to go and test it. But I won't try and do that now whilst I've got 30 or 40 people on the screen. But that's a good one. The short answer is I think so, based on, okay, someone says it doesn't. Okay, I'm still exploring how all the things work in the back end. Any other questions, Emmy?
Hang on. One was finding email addresses. Hang on. One of your Terrain says no. No, you've got a few people saying it doesn't auto-populate. Right. Okay. So that's your homework.
Okay, I'll prove that one.
Okay.
So I think that brings us to the basically to the end of what I'll call the very fast 30-minute demonstration of Terrain. So what I'm about to go is I'm now about to start going into how to set up Terrain and what you'll find on Friday afternoon once access has been granted. So any last questions before I go on to that one?
Warwick,
yes.
Jenny here, Warwick. It's more of a statement than a question, and that about the auto-filling of, say, for example, the buddy system across the OAS. And my thoughts are that if each stage we want youth members to challenge themselves and to have a greater knowledge, it would be counterproductive to update across each stage, because, you'll expect a simple statement about buddying from stage 1, but by stage 3, it might be a more complex answer.
Yes.
I just think, if what we're trying to do is extend our youth members, then it would be counterproductive. But
yes.
I understand that you're going to be finding out the answer to that. I personally wouldn't like to think that it would autofill.
No, the thought, and now that you've challenged me on that one, as I think it through, the buddy system, what you'd want them to call out or tell you about in a stage 1 aquatics, i.e. swimming, versus a stage 1 bushwalking, same principles apply, but clearly in a swimming environment, you're wanting them much more closer and how you're dealing with water hazards rather than bush hazards.
Quite right. That's right. Each of those genres can engage other factors. So, that's good. Thank you for that. Cheers.
That's okay. Cool. Okay, so let's move on. So Oh, no. Next question.
Oh, just sorry, Nikki would like to make the point that it's carried across this the same stage. So we're not talking about going from populating stage 2 to stage 1. Yep. It's all stage 1, and in camping, bushwalking, and like the core skills, it's all 3 of them have got similar. But anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Okay, so let's go to my checklist. So, in preparation, one of the most, to create a user in Terrain, you need to create a user in your member record in SMS. So what happens is when you have a new member and they're created in SMS, it takes about 36 to 48 hours, but they get replicated from SMS through into Terrain. Okay, so there's no way to create a user as such. You have to go and create a member in SMS as you do. So I guess step 1 of preparation is please make sure that your SMS member records are up to date. Okay. The second thing is obviously if we're going to load previous achievements and accomplishments for every member, you'd want to make sure that you have those records up to date. And I have been guilty of having to get the Joeys to line up and quickly check off their sleeves to make sure that the badges on the shirts does line up with the badges on my sheet. That's okay. I should point out that the process of loading prior achievements is a one-shot affair, as in you can do it once. You can't do it multiple times. Once you've done it, you then have to go through the normal, what I'll call the normal awarding process to add an award. So it's, I guess it's fairly important to make sure that your award records are up to date and that you're confident that they're fairly accurate. You can load awards for every section the youth member has been in, but at a minimum, I would recommend you look at the current section that they're in. Now, is that once per group section or once per member? No, it's once per member. So
are you getting, sorry, Nick, are you going to get to the bulk upload and all that? Is that coming later? And the one load?
Yes, I'm about to come to the one load. Yes.
Yeah, that's what the questions are. I think people are going, how do I do all this?
Yep, so we're about to do that. For those of you who haven't benchmarked across to the new award scheme, there is this thing called the Scheme to Pathways Converter. It's available at s2p.scouts.com.au. Why is someone else sharing their screen? I will take my screen back. Yeah, right. So where we've got the Scheme to Pathways Converter, if you haven't benchmarked everybody across to the OAS, this is a great tool which will go through for you. So you can just put in your name. So I'll put in Nick W. You can put an email address in if you want to put in if you want to receive it by email. dc.joes@scouts.com.au. And I'm going to say I'm from Queensland. I'm going to say that I'm the adult leader in the unit. And we can choose the age section that you're doing. Now, obviously, you can do this as many times as you like. You can do it for every section. You'll notice that the badges that you've earned change depending on the section that you've got. Scouts and Venturers, obviously. I'm going to do Scouts because that's the one I've prepared earlier. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to tick off every badge and every item that they happen to have as part of the awards this game. So this one's a fairly senior Scout that's pretty much finished off everything. They've got their first aid badge, they have a Lemlin badge, they've got their Explorer badges, they've got their patrol activities, their service and heritage. Then we're going to go through, we'll say they've got a couple of proficiency badges, craft, information technology, modeler, They've been in Gangsha a couple of times. They like a bit of caving in Skye. And then when they come down to the end, I'll put another performing arts one in there and we'll say that they did adventurer citizenship, adventurer emergencies, adventurer campcraft. They have done explorer, construction, citizenship and campcraft, and pioneer, campcraft, water activities, and citizenship. So I've got a whole stack of badges there for this particular scout. I can now click on Get My Conversion. Please don't fail me now. Yes. Right. And what it will do is it will give you a standard conversion as to what the awards that your existing member has got map across to. So in this case, we can see we've got a milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3. We've got our intro to section badges. We have got our intro to scouting. So you'll notice that some of them, they say discuss with your patrol leader. And so this is saying you won't not necessarily automatically get these particular ones, but because you've got adventurer citizenship, you may have achieved milestone 3 community or a personal growth challenge area from your adventure citizenship. So it gives you a few things that give you a little bit of in and out to. When it comes to the outdoor adventure skills, because of the badges that you've done, they've mapped them across to your OAS stages. So the abseiling and caving badges map across to a stage 3 vertical OAS. Just as your Explorer Campcraft gets you your stage 4 camping, your Adventurer Campcraft is a stage 5 OAS camping. And that gives you essentially the list of awards under the new use program that you can load in and pre-award to this particular person. So once we've got our list of members, we've got SMS up to date, we now know what awards that we've got. I think we're ready to start going into terrain and actually setting up our unit and start awarding some prior achievements. So to this end, we come into the members part of the menu and we start here with the group. So the way terrain works is it will be loaded automatically with all members in your group. I have prepared some earlier, so please remember that this is a test system and we've loaded some data through here. So we'll have a list of members. In this case, we've got about 126 of them. The first thing we need to do is go and set up our units. Can you print the converted list, as in the scheme to pathways? Absolutely, you can print this. And if you send yourself an email, this is what the email comes through with all the detail exactly as you just saw it on the screen as well.
And Joanne's got a question. Do leaders need to have the skill, or can we just sign off on those ones in the conversion?
You can just sign off on the ones in the conversion.
Because they've already been checked by an expert.
That's right. They've already been awarded. We're not. Yep. If the system says that you've been awarded this and you've achieved that, you don't need to reevaluate and re-award that person.
Yep.
So back in terrain, you will start with a list of members. You won't have a unit. You won't have. You may have a section. You'll have a date of birth. You'll see that they're active. You will have this import data thing, which I'll explain in a few more moments. Most of them will actually look like these two people here. Just a name, member number, name, date of birth, active is what you'll see. What we need to do is we need to come into set up our units using the units at the top. Now, with the units, you can set up as many units as you like. Generally, 1 unit per per section. We can go and create a unit. And one of the ones which I saw there was we had one group I saw in the data center. We had a parent supporters unit. And for the sake of it, they said it was actually a rover unit. And you can go and create as many units as you want. So if you have a Joey, a Scout, a Venturer, Cub unit, great. If you have multiple units at the same level, you can do that as well. Now, I think there was a question that popped up that I missed.
Yes, the couple, but the one about, there's one come up about patrols and can you change them easily?
Yes, I'll come back.
Yeah, you'll get to that. And also, when we get to the bulk, when you're saying to talk about bulk uploads, I've got a question to come in there.
Okay. In that case, I'll come back. We've set up
Keep
our
going,
unit.
create your unit.
We created our units. We can now also go and create our patrols. We can create a patrol. You'll notice we can call our patrol whatever patrol name we want to. So I know I've got a few kids that absolutely love everything NASA, and they happen to be in the Scout unit. So you do need to set up your units first, and then you can assign your patrols and set your patrols up within that unit. You'll note that you can set up your patrols to exist in any unit that you've got. You are not restricted to the names of animals. You can call them whatever you like. But you do need to set up your units first, then you can set up your patrols. You can rename your patrol without necessarily NASA, ESA, and JAXA science fans. You can name that, and you don't have to go and update every individual. It just changes the name of the patrol, and that will flow through to everyone who's a member of that particular patrol. So
okay.
Now that we've...
Very quick question. When we log in as a Joey leader, do we see all the youth members or just the Joeys?
You will see everyone. So when you're an adult leader, when it comes to the member screen, you are able to see all members. And that's because you may have a Joey that needs to go up to Cubs and you want to put them up into the Cubs unit, or if you're a Cub leader, you've got a Joey that you're wanting to make sure you reallocate to your unit. Or alternatively, you may have, as a leader, you may be running a multi-section event. So you will be able to see all the records within your group.
Can a youth member be in more than one patrol?
No.
How does that work with activity patrols?
So project patrols, you actually have to add the person. It doesn't auto-populate who's in the activity patrol. I'll come back. I can show that again at the end if you want to hold that for the end. But
okay,
when it comes to
Joanne, hold on to that one.
Yep. If you want to have when you do your programming and you set up a project patrol, you can choose any member from your group, irrespective of section. So you might do, say, a paddling day, and you might have 3 Joeys, 6 Cubs, 4 Scouts, and 2 Venturers.
Yeah.
And you might set them up as a project patrol for that particular activity.
And that's not going to mess with their normal patrol, is it?
It does not mess with their normal patrol.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yep. So, yes, project patrols are set up in programming, not here.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yes. So this is your...
Joanne, does that make sense too? Yeah, Joanne's got it. It's all good.
Yep.
We're good.
Yep. So consider this to be your home patrols, or dare I say, the on-parade patrols. So now that we've created the units and the patrols, the last thing we need to do is know who actually belongs to a particular unit. So I'm now going to click into my Joey unit, and I can now see who's in my particular unit. I can add a unit member, and I can go and select any member who's in my group to be part of my unit. Now, for those of you who run, and I know this is a big thing in the Ventura section, you can also add any member from any branch anywhere in Australia into your unit. So why is that important? So let's take Ventura units where you're running as a, if you're running a combined district unit for Venturas, all your Venturas may belong to multiple different groups, but you're meeting as a district unit at one group altogether in order to give you size. That means you can add people from outside of your group to form part of your district unit, which is based at your group. Okay. Once you've done that, you can add them to your unit. And when we come back in, we can now see that we have Mr. Nathan that's been added into our unit. And if I went down and find somewhere, you should also find me in here. I think, Emily, you asked, so all you need is your member number. Absolutely. This whole, if you've got the membership number and the branch that they belong to, you can add them to any activity that you're planning or into any unit. Once you have everybody allocated into your units, so long as they're in SMS, we can add them, absolutely. Allowing the 36 to 48 hours for SMS to replicate. As in, if you add somebody in tonight, into SMS, it might not be until Friday night before they're available in terrain. Moving interstate is not an issue, absolutely not. There is a process where the branches have to do the change, but your membership number can actually, if you've got somebody who's come from, say, Tasmania to Queensland, as long as we have their Tasmania membership number, we can reallocate all of their member records in terrain up to Queensland and then add them into a Queensland record. Absolutely.
I just out for a sec and everyone put questions up. Can you have two patrols in different units with the same name? That should make sense. Yes.
Yep.
And so they just need their membership number, yes. And if they're an SMS, we can add them. Is that right? That's all been covered?
That's all been covered.
And the interstate. Okay, cool.
Cool. The last step to do is to say, is the person a member of unit council? And if they've got this checkbox, they will be able to see approvals and obviously, as a member of unit council, be able to approve or reject their submissions to unit council. You can now choose which home patrol they belong to. So in this case, they belong to Bandicoot Patrol, and this one we'll put to Albatross Patrol. If you change patrols, it's as simple as changing the patrol. Very straightforward. You'll notice that we have this other drop down here called duty. Now this is a Joey unit, so we obviously have a scout or a unit leader. If I come back to my other units, and I'm going to jump into my scout unit. Again, I've got my list of members. I can say who's on unit council. I can say which patrol that they're in, and this one's a bit of a NASA fan. And I can now choose whether they're a unit leader, a patrol leader, or an assistant patrol leader. So because they're on unit council, I'm going to make them a patrol leader. As soon as you do that drop down, their record is updated. Okay, so there's no, so when it comes to updating, configuring your group, as soon as you've done those settings, it's there, it's in place, it's ready to roll. Okay, unit leader. So you have patrol leaders and assistant patrol leaders that you're used to. In other states, and I believe being introduced to Queensland, is the concept of a unit leader, which is sort of like your senior youth member. And I know this one caused quite a bit of controversy in the past about whether you have the patrol leader or patrol leaders. It is a youth member role rather than a yes. it's a youth member role rather than a leader role. But someone's going to ask me, what about? Yeah. From what I've seen, how other groups interstate have done it, where they have got adults in a unit, they do use the unit leader to specify that they are also, unit leaders also being used to attach to the adults as well. Okay, so now we're at the point we've seen all of our members, we've created our units, we've created our patrols. We've now gone through and flagged who's in which patrol, who's our patrol leaders, and who's our APLs in each unit. So our group is getting towards being set up. Before I go to the next stage, has anyone got any questions, further questions?
Richard's asked, can we use this for scouts still doing the old system? But I'm not quite sure which part he's talking about, whether it's just the setting up the units and things like that, or whether it's a bit more than that.
So as far as it will not keep records under the old award system, but you can use it for scheduling or programming and for keeping track of your members. But it will only capture awards and personal progression against the new youth program OAS and SIAs, not the Pioneer, was it Pioneer, Explorer, Adventurer, or the Gold, Silver, Bronze Boomerangs? No, we don't capture those.
Oh, okay, I'll type that in a minute. And Jenny's asked, when you create a project patrol and invite youth from other states, can everyone in that project patrol see the details of everyone in the patrol?
Yes, and you can see the names of the person who are in that patrol, and that activity will show up on their calendar when they go into programming.
Okay.
So if you're a project patrol member and you've joined a project patrol from a different group, this will show up on your calendar.
Okay. And if so, what can they see? Is it just the name? Also, is the leader in the unit? Yep. Also, is the leader in the unit from the other group or branch notified that their youth are in a project patrol in another state?
Short answer is no, I'm not aware of any notification that is automated. Obviously, good practice would be the who the hell is Billy and start going from there.
Right, okay. Jenny, I hope sorry.
No, thank you very much for putting the question forward. I guess then my question is, the youth member from the other state, for example, somebody's going to approve, so a unit council is going to approve their participation, assist or lead in that activity. So I assume that's from the home patrol group, that home,
whoever's hosting the activity.
Yep. So shouldn't the leader be advised that their youth are involved in other things? So for example, then if the home group who instigated the activity, they've, ticked off, yes, you've participated or you've assisted or you've led that, that just goes on the youth member's record, signed off by another leader. I mean, there's a few implications. One is, if they're going to be travelling interstate, there has to be the prerequisite record, etc.
So the system will only record your activities and your achievements. Just as currently, your record book records your achievements, and I can tell this one from personal experience, because my son actually used to do activities across 2 different groups until he decided to move groups. And so he actually had badges which were assessed and awarded by Group B, even though he belonged to Group A. When that time came, we made sure we had the leaders from both Group A and Group B. They both knew about the situation. They had agreed that about what the protocol was about Group B signing off badges. and in this case, Group B awarded the badge to him once he transferred. When it comes to organising activities, again, this system doesn't automatically check that you've done everything. So it doesn't generate your C5s, it doesn't generate the C4, it doesn't assess your risk assessment, it doesn't assess your activity against QBSI. There is still that leader oversight and your leader knowledge and skill to say whether this is an appropriate activity, has it been appropriately planned. We're certainly not wanting to automate the leaders out of the process here.
So
what we're trying to do is give you visibility. I guess what we're trying to do is give youth the ability to suggest activities and to take ownership in the planning, but we still need leaders to exercise the level of care and discretion, which they do at the moment, about making sure has the activity been properly planned before we do sign this off, have all the right rules of the game being followed.
So Nick, I guess the leader of the person in the other state, not there, they rely on the leader of the unit council of the hosting state, if you like, to say that person, participated. But what you're saying, and I totally agree, is this doesn't take the place of what happens at group council or district training meetings, any of those forums where leaders have to acknowledge or talk about the activities that the kids are doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What it does mean is, and I'm making this up as I'm going, say you're up in Cairns and you've got a family that's come from Adelaide, whose family's moved up for work for 3 months and the kids have come with them. They've decided to join the local group for 3 months and they're participating in all the activities. It means that now there is a whole branch registration membership notifying your RC that you've got someone from out of state participating in your activities and all the hoo-ha that goes with that. That still has to be done. But when it comes to recording the fact that Johnny went on a hike and Johnny's completed this OAS stage with the Cairns group whilst he's up there for 3 months, you can do that in terrain. It doesn't alleviate or eliminate you to do all the other good practice that we would need to do around making sure that there's communication between their home group and the group that they're currently working with for that short period of time. The other scenario is obviously jamborees. If you've got a jamboree, you can have your jamboree leader sign off an OAS skill or an SIA that you might have completed as part of the jamboree program, for example. And your jamboree unit council can sign off an award whilst you're away on jamboree, hypothetically. I might move on, go to a region event like Abseiling Day. Okay, what's that one? Would the abseiling team set up the event in terrain, or would the section leader need to do it, or does it vary? There are many ways to organise this particular event. So when you come to an event, you can have your region activity team who can, if I get to the right screen, I'll come here to complete plan. You could have a region activity team go and add all the people who are going to go to the particular activity and set up an activity for it. The other way that you can do it is if you can have multiple people having the same, running the same activity but having their own record in their own group. So for those of you who are Joey leaders, we're organising the bear hunt. The bear hunt is a central activity which a lot of units will come to do, but each group will have activities that happen before and after the bear hunt. So in that case, it would make sense that each group has their own activity plan for the entirety of that activity versus the organisers who are just organising the 3 hours in the middle. So there's a few different ways that we can address that one. I might move on if everyone's okay, around how do we now award data to groups and units. So the first scenario I'm going to play out is we're a Joey Scout unit, because this is what it was actually designed for, and then it's based on some feedback I gave them. We might say we want to manually award an outdoor adventure skill, because as a unit, as a Joey Scout unit, we've gone to the Winter Wonderland, we've played around in the fake snow in the middle of Brisbane, we've done a little bit of tobogganing, and we've actually, through the work that we've done over the nights that we've had at the unit, we can say that we've achieved our Alpine Stage 1. If everyone thinks it's not a really viable scenario, please run with me. The same principle applies for any other OAS that you've got. You can do this for anything up to OAS Stage 5, and you can do it for any unit. So in this particular case, you might have quite a few people in your unit, and they might have all participated. Rather than having to go into each individual person's profile and individually submit the I statements for each person, you can actually come through here and tick them all off. We might go through and say, okay, actually due to illness, these 2 people didn't do that bit. And you notice I can go and update or submit in bulk for everybody. And I can now press save. And I've just awarded an Alpine Stage 1 for all of those individuals. You'll notice that it is actually driven off the members menu under units. And that's because members is only accessible to adult members or to adult leaders. Youth can't do that. So it's assuming that the adult leader is therefore signing that off. And that particular capability was designed as a result of feedback as to, well, how as Joey and Cub leaders in particular, where we have a unit level event where everybody who attends can achieve something, how do we do that? And that's how we do what we call the manual award. And you'll notice it only applies to OAS. And depending on the OAS, depends on how far you can go through. So in this case, Alpine, you can go to Stage 3 because you don't need, a wood badge leader can sign off up to Stage 3 there. Whereas if I go into, where's my bushcraft, I think bushcraft, you can also sign off to Stage 3. Yeah.
Okay, Nick, does the system notify leaders when the youth have completed the requirements for a badge so we know to award it, or do we have to go into each child and check periodically?
No, that's where you come through here to your approvals. And so this is where if a youth member has submitted their special interest area or submitted that they've completed an OAS stage, that's where it will come through into the approval, and then the unit council can approve or reject.
So, but how's that going to work with Joey's? Because someone still has to submit it, don't they?
So with Joey's, you can either do the bulk award like I just showed, where you do activities as a unit, or alternatively, yes, a leader or a parent will realistically need to submit that nomination. And that where I see this practically working in Joey's, for example, is if you've got a family that's gone off on a holiday and as a result that Joey has learned a particular skill outside of scouting, we can still recognise it, but they'll need to submit it. Where you build a skill up as part of a unit-based activity, such as you might do a few nights on cycling, followed by a cycling activity on a weekend, then as you do the bulk award. So let's go to the last bit because I'm trying to keep on time and finish up hopefully in about the next 15 minutes. Let's go and say we've checked our members, we've set up our units, we've set up our patrols, we've got all of that component in place, we've set up our program so everyone can see what's on the calendar. Now it comes time to record what achievements somebody has already done. You'll notice that under members, we have import data or not required over here on the right-hand side. So this is a one-time activity. So you need to make sure that you have your data ready to do this particular activity. Once you do it, it is done. If you need to reverse this, the only way we can reverse it is to erase all of their achievement history. Okay. So it's important that we do it once. If you feel that they're a brand new member and they, as a result, don't have any achievements that need to be uploaded, you can just click on not required and that will put them into the complete stage for data import. If we click on data import, you can actually track all awards that you've given across all sections. Now, obviously, in a Joey Scout, we don't have many sections. But if you say loading Adventurer Scout, you might have a lot of awards from a lot of from previous sections that they might want to capture. The answer is you can load as much as you like when it comes to their past awards. I'm going to go with a Scout being in the middle of the 5 sections. And then on the right-hand side, you can see there are all the different achievement pathways. So obviously we have Introduction to Scouting. Intro to Scouting, very simple to award. We just click on Add, and it says, what date did they achieve Intro to Scouting? Now, if you don't really need to know what date they actually got Intro to Scouting. What I would suggest is you pick a date and everything that you're uploading, you award on that date. So in this case, where I've been doing my testing, I just go, right, 1st of September is the date that I awarded everything when I uploaded into Terrain. And that way I've got a record. If I see something that was awarded on the 1st of September 2020, that was part of the data upload that we used when we started up Scouts Terrain. Once I've done, I can say save, right, done. So Rebecca Dean has earned Intro to Scouting. I can now go and do Intro to Section. Same process. Pick a date. I'm going to pick 1st of September. I'm going to go OK, save. Now, I'm going to jump over milestones deliberately. I'm going to go and say, let's have a look at special interest areas. So again, fairly simple process, very short form, but you obviously have to have the data name. So in this case, I might say they were in Game Show 2019, and we've given them an Arts and Literature SIA, 1st of September, because that's when all my converted data is in place. I can press save. Once I can then go and add as many other special interest areas as I've got. We know that this particular person loves Gang Show. So we're going to say Gang Show 2020, Arts and Literature, and date awarded 1st of September. And save that one. And repeat by any special interest areas they have, obviously in their current thing. So you might have history poster. So in this case, they've gone and learned a lot about the history of NASA and the Apollo program. So that's clearly a STEM and innovation one, which they did as part of their scientist badge. Okay, and save. Once we're finished, we can then move across onto their outdoor adventure skills. Now you'll notice there is a slight difference around outdoor adventure skills. So you can see we've got we've got our skill here, which we're looking at the Bushcraft OAS, and we can say that they've earned stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. We can again pick our number, our date, 1st of September, because that's where we've put all of our converted data. And we can say what section was it awarded in. So in this case, we can, this bit, not as important when it comes to data load, but let's assume that they're a brand new scout. Or we could actually say, actually, they got their stage 1 in Cubs and their stage 2 in Cubs, and they've got stage 3 in Scouts. You'll notice that all of the branches become available once you have completed. So in this case, I've done Pioneering stage 4, which I've got in Scouts. But you'll notice that whilst Pioneering stage 5 has opened up, survival skills stays at stage 4 because we haven't said that we've awarded the stage 4 survival skills.
Okay, a couple of questions.
Yep.
One, can we import data from Scout Central, or will it need to? No. Okay. No. Or will it need to get whatever S2P first is?
No.
And the other one is, which is slightly more relevant to this, if we have a youth member that was benchmarked at stage 2 a year ago, and they now have a stage 4, how do we upload that to ensure they're recognised for the level progressions? Will we just put them in as a 4 now, or how does it change?
You put them in as a 4 now. The thing to remember is when you do your peak award nomination, that peak award nomination form is filled out outside of this system. It's not, so your stage progressions when it comes to the peak award nomination is still, dare I call it, manually assessed by the nominating or the unit, by the nominating leader, adult leader.
Right. Mm-hmm. And is that something that when you're putting the data in, particularly if you're counting those sort of things, you put the dates in? If you know that 12 months ago that was stage 2, you can put
any date in the past.
Yep.
You can put any date in the past in there if you want to. I'm just doing this because for the data conversion, I've just put them all at the same date because I know that if there's a problem in future, anything which was 1st of September 2020, I know that was the date that we used for our data load. Once you've finished a particular stage, you can come down and click on Save. But see how Save is actually greyed out? That means that something's not right in the data that I've put in. And if I look closely, I forgot to put a date against my stage 4 Pioneering. So now that I've got my stage 4 Pioneering and I put the date in, I can now, the button's blue, I can press Save. And I can now go and repeat that for all of the other OASs that I have for, in this case, Rebecca Dean. If you have got to the point where you've done the Scout Leadership course or the Adventurous Journey or the Personal Reflection, you can do that as well. Now, most important, the last button to press is the one which says Submit All Achievements. You can press this button once per person. So once you press this, it's the end of the data import process for Rebecca Dean. It means that if you forgot to add a badge, you would need to go through the, say you forgot to put an OAS stage in, you will need to go through the normal process of awarding that OAS stage in order to update their record. So I guess preparation is a bit of the key to this one to make sure you've got the right data if you want to minimise the number of those submissions. That being said, if you do miss one, it's not the end of the world. You can go and add that onto their record through the normal award cycle as you would before for any other award. Once you click on achievements, it does say, are you sure that it's correct and up to date? Yes. Understand that as soon as you click on this submit, the import function for this particular person, in this case Rebecca Dean, is no longer going to be available. And we can go submit, bang, done, and you'll notice that Rebecca Dean is now showing as being complete.
Does it save everything before then? Does it draft save?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
As in, you can come back to it later.
Yes.
In fact, if I come here to Melissa Burns, you can see here that I've awarded the Intro to Scouting previously, and I think I put a SIA in here previously as well. So you can come back later. For those of you who would like to do, and it's up to you as to how you do this, I'm sure there'll be some groups that will want to put the SI, put all the data in, and then possibly even sit down with each of the youth members to make sure they've got everything captured before they submit it into the system. Why did I, okay, why did I, because milestone importing is a little bit more tricky. So let's go and do milestones. Thank you, Emily, for reminding me of that one. Let's come back to, I'll go to one that I haven't prepared earlier. So we'll go back to, oh no, I'll have to do it. So milestones. Milestones are a little bit trickier. So you'll notice that the screen looks very similar and that you can say, I'm going to add milestone 1. And I can say when I awarded, I can say that it's either awarded or in progress or not required. So in this case, I'm going to say it was awarded. But you'll notice that I can't just save it. I've actually got to come in here and say how many of the participates did I get in each of the challenge areas. And I think I've actually got to have 6, don't I, for milestone 1. I've got to have, I think, 4 assists across at least 2 areas, and I've got to have at least 1 assist. And I can put in my previous award date. So now I've got that, I can come in and press my save. And then that will say that I've awarded milestone 1. The other way that you can do it is you can do a partial load. And you can say that rather than having been awarded their milestone 1, you can say, based on the program and what we've done to date, I can now go and see, I can pre-award where they're up to, so we don't have to start the clock with 0. In this case, you'll notice that there's no date awarded, but I can save this particular record. I'll come back to the one, I'm going to leave this particular one and come back to the one that I prepared earlier around milestones. So in this case, you can see I've awarded all 3. Okay. So if you are going to award them, you do need to keep a track of which challenge areas you go that they've achieved their participate, assists, and leads in. What have we got here? If we're adding a Joey who will link to Cubs and achieved a Joey challenge in the new program, or is it just milestone through working in this year? You can just enter in, you can set it to start to wherever you want it to be. Remembering that you don't need, with milestones, you do not need to start at milestone 1. Generally, if they're in their 3rd year age bracket, so 7-year-old Joey or a 10-year-old Cub or a 14-year-old Scout, you would generally start them on milestone 3 versus a 1st year Joey, Cub or Scout, you would start on milestone 1. With the milestones, it does require you to look back, because you're obviously awarding number of participate, assist, leads, it does require you to look at your attendance records and your programs to say, okay, Johnny has showed up to these activities, so, and based on my memory of those, these are the ones I'll give him the assists and the leads for. It's not just as simple as, yep, he achieved milestone 1. Did that make sense?
Yep. Yes,
cool.
It did.
Cool. So, yes. So the good thing with Scouts Terrain, and I know there was a bit of commentary on the Facebook groups this afternoon, how the heck do we keep a track of them all? I guess the idea is that Scouts Terrain will keep a track of what your participates, assists and leads are. You might remember back to programming. Part of the programming was that we said, which challenge area is this going to count towards? And who was my participants, and then who was my assists and my leads during that review process. Remembering that it's only once you've completed the review are the participate, assists and leads actually awarded.
Okay, Nick, did you see that one from Nathan? If we're converting us,
STP says milestone 2. Yes, you can, where you've got an STP one, yes, you can make that up. From the back-end data point of view, we can actually see whether that was, whether these participate, assists and leads came from an import versus activities. So yes, you will need to, if you don't have all of the, so I'll start that again. If you're just recording that I've got my silver boomerang, yes, you can award milestone 2. Yes, you can make the numbers up. It's where you want to award an in-progress milestone where they've partially achieved their participate, assist, leads. That's where you have to work out what breakdown am I going to give.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Because I was hoping to finish up shortly, but I'm happy to keep taking any questions. If anyone needs to race off, please feel free to do so. If you had a question that you haven't asked tonight and you would like to ask me, please don't hesitate to email me, bc.joeys@scoutsqld.com.au. I might not know the answer, but I will find the person, and I'm generally pretty good about, within about a couple of days, I will get back to you with an answer, or at least tell you I'm trying to find it. Anything we haven't seen? No, I think nights are, so a couple of questions I've got here. Anything we haven't seen? Short answer is no. Some things which are coming is this thing called Group Life. Yep, it's still coming soon. Group Life will allow you to see your progress at a glance. So you'll be able to see where people are up to in their progressions. You'll be able to see what are your popular OASs. You'll be able to see how people are tracking towards different milestones. The team is still working on that particular function. They've been more focused on getting the data capture side rather than the reporting side. I have started work helping them to develop that, and yeah, the insights we should be able to get are fantastic. Are nights under canvas hiking recorded anywhere? Not yet. They are developing that particular function at the moment. We were hoping to see it this week, but it looks like it will be in the next couple of weeks. Apparently some bugs, fixing up some bugs which have been detected have been focused on.
Did you see that?
Yes, if we have some scouts in the old system to finish off the section, will we still need to track them on terrain in the new system for them to not end up reverting back to stage 1? No. So you can do that data import at any point in time. Core principle number 1 is no youth member is to be disadvantaged because of the change of program. And remembering you have until the end of 2022 to finish. The old program is still valid until the end of 2022. And the idea is that anyone who's in a section at the start of this year who is working towards a peak award under the old award system should be able to finish under that old award system if they choose to do so. And then when they move up sections is when they have to adopt the new youth program. If you do, as a group, decide to fully convert across and benchmark everybody over, you can benchmark them, benchmark over and move to the new program. But obviously Terrain won't record achievements under the old program. You'll have to do the benchmark and the data import when you do come across. Sample stuff, Yes,
yeah.
I
That's
can
me
show you the
talking.
substrate. Cool, no problems. I will just run through a couple of things as far as support resources go. So pr.scouts.com.au terrain. This is our support site. So as all the digital rollout coordinators like myself across the country, we've said that rather than build branch-specific materials, we're all going to contribute to this one central library because it's all, at the end of the day, the same program everywhere in Australia. So here is where you'll find a whole stack of how-to sheets. You'll notice that there's some new ones, there are some updated. I know that there's some other ones that are in draft that are being finalised at the moment. You can come and get your how-to guides here. If you prefer to do the walkthroughs, you can come to the video guides, and we've got a few walkthroughs around how to do, for example, the data import wizard, navigating the members table, outdoor adventure skills and the like. So there are a few walkthroughs of that. If you're a techie and you'd like to see all the development updates, we've got all of those in here as well, but they only tell you what we've been doing versus these other two tabs that tell you how to use it. On the Queensland site, which is NYPQLD, scoutsqueensland.com.au, Scouts Terrain, we have our Scouts Terrain page, and this is where probably by the weekend you'll find the links to see the recordings of this session that we've just been running. I will run another session probably either on the 30th of September or the 6th of October, just depends on my family's logistics, where I'll have an open Q&A forum. I will post the details in all the Facebook groups as well as the Chiefs newsletter, and there'll be a few more after that. Also, if you do want someone to come and help you one-on-one or with your group or district, you can contact your local NYP ambassador. We've been giving them a bit more practice for the last few months and giving them some early insights to terrain so that they should be able to help you if you need someone, a person with a pulse next to you to help you with any Q&As. And obviously, if you do have other questions, give me a buzz, and between myself and the ambassador team, we'll be able to work something out. If we do find there's a few common questions, I have to admit I haven't updated them for a while, and I probably should. We do have some Q&As down here at the bottom of the page as well. So with that, we are at 10 to 9. Any last questions? Otherwise, I might call it an evening.
All good.
With that, I'm going to say thank you so much, everyone, for investing your night tonight. The system is still being tested and refined. It will be opened up by Friday night. Details on how to log in to Scouts Terrain, you can actually find as there's actually a specific help sheet about how to do that with your default password and everything else. Have a go from Friday night, explore, have a try, and if you get stuck, give us a buzz. Like I said, I usually respond to emails within a couple of days. In any case, you've got my phone number and email as well. So thank you, everyone.
Fabulous. Good night. Thank you, Nick. That's been great. Thanks so much. Good night now.
No problems. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Good night, everybody.